Well, hello, good people. Again, hopefully, I'm praying to God because, first and foremost, I should have done this yesterday when we did our live weekly update, which is the third week, I might add. You should be impressed because that's consistency that this channel has barely done ever. So, I need to make sure that this audio is working. So, you're going to have to bear with me here for just a moment, because I am not going to screw this up again. This channel has barely done ever, so it's working. Okay, so yeah, I guess we'll kind of shorten this one up tonight, but I apologize. I really do, because I put out a video last night about the weekly update. We're going to discuss some of the things mentioned in the description. And there was no audio for about 26 to 30 minutes. And I woke up this morning, and I really do appreciate a good friend of mine, you know who you are, who basically texted me saying, there's no audio on that video, right? And I literally just kind of went, fuck. Because it's good shit. I don't know. I mean, to me, this has been some great shit. I love doing these live things. I love doing weekly updates. If you're new to the weekly updates, we basically talk about some of the stuff that we're watching, some of the news stuff that's going on, of course, social media. I give you a little taste of what I'm currently seeing on my social media stuff, and then politics, obviously. But more importantly, what are we watching? Specifically, The Running Man, which just right out of the gate is such a horrific film, absolute dog shit film, that quite frankly, I'm not even going to do a review on it because it's just not worth it. It's not worth my time. It's not worth my energy. It simply is just dog shit. And I feel really bad. I really, really do, for Glenn Powell, because that man is trying so hard to become, I guess, like the next Tom Cruise. And I think he does. I think he does a great job. He's a great actor. I think he's done a lot of good stuff so far. But man, this is a miss. And I don't know. They always say sometimes you have that one bad film, and it's some actors and actresses don't recover from it. The Running Man reboot just might be that film. So I hope it's not, but we'll get into it just a little bit briefly. And then this is going to sound weird, but I want to kick this off. I did, again, metaphorically speaking, talking about it yesterday that you didn't get to hear because there was no audio on it. But I just want to kind of get somebody else's opinion, and I'd love to know the thoughts in the comments. Tell me your opinion. If you haven't already, I'd love the likes, the follows, the comments. Just do it out of pity. Quite frankly, I don't care, but no, I care about you following, but I mean, like, I don't care if it's out of pity. Just hit the follow button, subscribe button, and then move on with your life. You know what I mean? It'd be appreciated. But I want to talk about, so YouTube ads. Holy fucking shit. Excuse my motherfucking French. Does anybody else lose their goddamn minds when it comes to YouTube ads? Now, TMI, if it is, I take showers at night, sometimes in the morning too. Depends on the day, depends on what we're doing. But I have a Bluetooth speaker. Believe it or not, if you've been to Disneyland and you have one of these puppies, it's a Bluetooth speaker. So I connect my phone to the Bluetooth speaker so that my phone does not get wet or moisture, humidity, blah, blah, blah. And I'll play a YouTube video. A lot of the time, I'm playing Gutfeld. If you're not a fan of Gutfeld, I recommend him. He's basically the conservative Fallon. It's just something to watch at night. So, lo and behold, sometimes you get lucky and you get maybe one or two ads. They're about 30 seconds, but it's very rare because apparently the now standard, the now just day-to-day ad blah 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 that occurs on YouTube is a 45-minute fucking ad about, hey, do you take a shit out of your own ear? Let's talk to 37 people about their own personal experiences about shitting out of their ear. And we found the perfect solution for you so that you don't have to no longer shit out of your ear. What you're going to do is you're going to go to your dumpster that you live, wherever you may be, the gunk that's on the bottom of it, you're gonna rub it in your right eye, and we're gonna talk about this for 45 fucking minutes before we get to the video that you're watching or the commentary that you're listening to. And the best part is the cherry on the top. You skip the ad, obviously, and it goes back to your video for about 30 to 7 seconds or something like that. And then it goes right back to another 20-minute or 25-minute fucking ad about old people that seem to can't control their bowel movements. And I'm just in awe and flabbergasted in relation to the fact of holy shit, does anybody else lose their goddamn minds over this? Because I swear to God, I know this sounds dumb as hell. I'm gonna do a review, and I swear to God, we're gonna go over this on just how stupid these things are. And yes, of course, you can say the usual stuff like, "Well, why don't you just pay for YouTube Premium and blah 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 blah." No, quite frankly, I'd love to potentially share with somebody if anybody's willing to. Wink, wink. But ultimately, I'm not gonna spend 40. What is it? 40, 30, 40, 50 bucks a month just to have no ads. Fuck that noise. It's called Rumble. I recommend it. That's the way to go. Ultimately, though, sometimes you can't find that shit on Rumble, so thus you have to go to YouTube. I'm just going to leave it with that. I simply will just say YouTube ads, holy crap. Enough is enough. Total dog shit. And I'm sorry, but if I hear one more ad about, do you get spikes coming out of your stomach? I have a remedy where if you just chug down about 3 gallons of cinnamon and then also stick a broomstick in your left eyeball, you're cured or some bullshit. It's fucking stupid annoying. But anyway, just had to get that off my chest because it's dumb as hell. Just like these ads. Just say it like that. But switching gears, let's get over to I'm gonna give you my spiel real quick. Let me share this screen. If you guys, I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you're about to find out. The Running Man. Now, if you are old, like I am, back in the 80s, there was a man called Arnold Schwarzenegger, which, yes, I know I'm being just stupid at this point, but it's a reboot. The Running Man is a reboot based off of the movie that was back in the 1980s. It starred Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's based in this apocalyptic, futuristic world where everything's a police state, everything's controlled, and one of the ways that you can kind of get away from all of it, you can kind of redeem yourself is by going on this TV show, The Running Man. And of course, because Hollywood has absolutely zero way of creating singular thought amongst itself, it has to reboot everything known to man. God forbid it came up with a singular thought. And I mean this, we've been talking about this quite often over the last few weeks, specifically with a lot of the movies that we're watching, which, just FYI, we are going to be finishing up the 4 movies, 4 minutes series. Parts 3 and 4 are going to be hopefully coming out this week. So stay tuned for that because it's going to be awesome. Good Fortune is dog shit, but we also did Frankenstein. We're going to finish it off with Frankenstein, and I think it's going to be pretty badass. But The Running Man. Quick synopsis. This just might be one of the most dullest, boring, tragically, terribly written films I have ever seen in my life. It's one of those films, and I swear on my mother's grave, you have to wonder sometimes when they make films like this, where either the actors or the actresses, blah, 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 they're sitting in a green room and they're literally going over how they're going to create this movie. They're going to do the skits, where they draw out what they ultimately want to film. They have the writing, blah 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 blah. With the Running Man, it is just like wow. I mean, you ultimately would think that probably a third or a fourth grader wrote this as far as the dialogue. It's obviously woke as fuck too, by the way. It doesn't even you can't even the credits don't even start in the beginning of the movie before they're starting to throw the usual suspects, The Message, as my favorite critical drinker channel would say. Jesus Christ, though, like, and I think the biggest shock about The Running Man is the fact that Glenn Powell signed on to it. That's what the biggest shock to me is, because again, I understand he's done some Netflix series, not series. He's actually done a Hulu series, but he's done a few movies on Netflix. He obviously got his big break with Top Gun Maverick, and he does want to be the next Touch. He wants to be the next big blockbuster movie guy, whatever you want to call it. And more power to him if he can make that happen. Doing this though, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, it's going to jeopardize his career. It really, really is. This movie is pure dog shit from the story. Like I said, if you've seen the trailer, you've seen the movie. You really, really have. I'm not going to play it on here because YouTube's going to give me a copyright strike or something, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But go look it up because trust me, if you've seen the trailer, you have seen this movie. It is boring as shit. It is dull as hell. And the fact that it's a reboot, quite frankly, they didn't have a clue what they wanted to do. If you really look at it, they had no idea what to do with this film. If anything, I will give credit to the 1980s movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. At least that had a solid foundation where he was set up. They manipulated they manipulated a crime that Arnold did, and that's how he ended up on the Running Man. With this reboot, he simply volunteers to go on this show, and then they just have some AI shit to make him look like a bad guy. It's really, if you actually think about like the bottom of the barrel type thinking, it really is just kind of pathetic and tragic in the relation to you just didn't even think about this. You literally just said, why doesn't he just volunteer to go on the show because his family needs help? Okay, I guess I'll also go for a walk tomorrow, maybe in the afternoon, because that's what I want to do. I'll just go for a walk, and then we'll put a fucking movie on it. We'll record it and make a fucking 2 hour fucking movie. It's dumb. It's boring. It's stupid. The visuals are absolutely tragic as well. It looks terrible. And quite frankly, like if you look here, I think it was, what did I see? 65% on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.8 on IMDb. That's just too fucking high. That is way too fucking high. And to kind of counter it, which if you haven't watched, I would love you already, go ahead and watch my review on Predator Badlands, which is, I think it's out right now on my channel. It's kind of late, so I think it's there. Apparently that's getting all the praise in the world. It's got like 96%, blah, 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 blah. And that's just an absolute lie. But with this movie, what you're reading from the absolute terribleness of it, it's absolutely true. Avoid this movie at all costs. Save your money, save your time. Do not waste any of it because, albeit The Running Man, I had very little to, if any, expectations around this being a good film. It might have been something to be like, okay, I'll just put it on in the background. I'll maybe go and check it out, maybe on a free day or something, like a cheap movie day or something like that. Like this, obviously, you're going into a movie like this knowing that it's going to be trash, but you thought maybe this would be a little bit better than what it actually was. So, again, to finalize it, I wouldn't even put this on in the background if it was streaming on one of your services. I really wouldn't because it is that tragic. Put Back to the Future back on and watch that again because ultimately, The Running Man is just shit. It's absolute fucking dog shit. So don't waste your time. All right. What else are we talking about? Let me pop us back here. What did I put in the politics? Okay, yeah. So we'll kind of wrap things up here in just a moment, but I wanted to get to the Epstein stuff that, of course, has been going on, and another doozy how fun that's been. But real quick, before we do get into that, let's go ahead and do the old sharing of screenage. Let's do what is currently on my Instagram feed. So hang tight for just a second while we pull this up here. Dun, 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 dun. All right. In this week's rendition, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, of what is currently being portrayed on my social media, this is quite the story. I'm not going to lie to you. I've seen a few little postings here, a few articles about essentially the Snyderverse possibly making a comeback. Now, let's be very honest. Whenever you hear rumors like this, odds are somebody started it and it just blew up. It's just like any social media post. Sometimes you get that lucky news article that just blows up. And one of my favorite ones today, actually totally random, was we actually got to see our first picture slash video of the new Legend of Zelda movie that's coming out, which is unbelievably epic to think about of just how awesome it might be. It's one of those, like, you're skeptically, that's not a word, skeptically optimistic, but at the same time, again, there's a lot of focus on the Zelda piece. We'll just have to see. It's too early to tell, but ultimately, I hope it really is something worthy of watch. I hope it's worthy of the Legend of Zelda story. Sorry, words are not coming to me. It's late, and I'm trying to make sure I get you guys this video because I really was kind of bummed last night, but forgive me or just follow me. That would be the best thing you can do. But anyway, going back to the Snyderverse, it sounds like they want Paramount to. There's a lot of like these sales going on, Warner Brothers, Paramount, blah 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 blah. It sounds like everybody wants to have, of course, Zack Snyder take back the DC universe, which is exactly, if you ask me, the way it should have been from the beginning. They should have given him the chance to finish up this series, or basically this entire movie franchise, I guess, if you want to call it. And yeah, I firmly do believe that since now having James Gunn at the helm with DC and this new Superman shit, Snyder is the way to go. It really, really is. We need to put Henry Cavill back with the cape, and we need to give him a chance to finish up that role. We need more Justice League. We need more Batman. We need to put Ben Affleck bat in the bat suit, and we need to get going because trust me, if you really take a second and watch these movies, that's, the DC Snyderverse, these are badass fucking movies. I understand it's not everybody's cup of tea. The slow motion, the Batman vs Superman that was 3 hours long and had about 10 minutes of actual action sequence. The stories were superior. The visuals were incredible. They obviously are not Oscar worthy movies, but they are badass characters. And I really do think they did an amazing job of bringing these characters to life, especially like Gal Gadot. Is it Gal Gadot? If I'm saying her name right, as Wonder Woman. Ezra Miller, I don't like just because he touches kids, but Henry Cavill is Superman. You cannot go wrong. Other than Christopher Reeves, Henry Cavill is Superman. There's no other Superman. It's just who he is. And I'm sorry, but before he gets too old, we need to stick him back in that suit and we need to finish up this stories, plural, because there's many more stories to tell. So ultimately, I really do. I hope this is a reality. I hope some studio, Netflix, whatever it is, does actually give Snyder the opportunity to kind of finish up what he started. I really, really do. So, other stuff. We talked about it yesterday, but England, of course, is once again. Well, that was actually 5 years ago by the looks of it. Okay, yeah, no, never mind. But we did talk a little bit yesterday. England is, of course, qualified for the 2026 World Cup. They've absolutely been dominating the qualifiers. And, of course, just like England always does, they will likely take a big fat shit when it comes to the actual tournament time because that's just what they do. We have not won a final since 1966, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. Not to sound bitter or pessimistic, just simply the reality of it. We've been able to get to finals, but again, once our pants get a little bit duty, we're done. What else do we have? Let's see. Democrat Rep Jared Golden is out, not seeing re-election in Maine's second district, which Trump won by 10 points. Huge flip opportunity for Republicans in 2026. And let's see. I'm gonna go back to that. By the way, don't worry about that. Some new toys that I probably will buy that I shouldn't. Just some randomness. Something about Christmas. Oh, Ricky Gervais says, I love this man. If you're not a fan of him, you should be. And if you're not a fan of him, shame on you. Robert Irwin, he's doing this Dancing with the Stars thing right now. I respectfully, that man needs to get back to doing conservation. We'll talk more about that another time. But quite frankly, Mr. Robert Irwin right now, dude, you are this thin right here in terms of like just disrespecting your father. You are this close. I won't go into it, like I said, right now, but not a big fan of his, right? Just whole Dancing with the Stars and everything else in between. Just number one, put a shirt on, and number two, get back to animals. Please get back to animals because you are starting to embarrass yourself, if you ask me. But that's just my 2 cents. So, finishing up this video, let's get real quick to the most recent news around the Epstein stuff. Sweet Mother of God, once again, we are talking about Epstein. Now, I am one of those people, I am a firm believer that there are elitist groups out there that are genuinely controlling the masses to divide us as far away from each other as we possibly can, because God forbid, if we actually came together, we might actually stop some of the sheer level of corruption that exists today, whether it's illegal immigration, the wars, disease, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, at the same time, it is life. It is what it is. So you just kind of do what you do. There's not much you can do about it other than stuff like this. And again, I know this only reaches about maybe 4 or 5 of you, which I love and appreciate every single one of you. When it comes right back around to the typical Epstein thing or whatever the spiel is for today or that day, it always backfires. Let's be very, very clear about this. Trump ran for president in 2016 and became the president. For 4 years, nothing. He was then cheated out of the 2020 election. And yeah, I can say that now, and I'm not afraid to say it. The 2020 election was completely rigged, completely stolen. Ironically, it came out to our benefit because, of course, him winning again in 2024 hopefully made the majority of you realize that 4 years of the same old Biden, usual suspect type politician basically showed you, hopefully, that there is a genuine purpose to destroy this country from within, especially when you allow millions upon millions of illegals to not only change the demographics, to change the culture, to change your voting, but basically to steal elections just like they did in 2020. And again, if this gets me banned on YouTube, whatever, it's just my opinion, but we all know that to be facts at this point. Let's be very clear about that. I'm not saying all elections or even the 24 or the 2016 election was legit. I'm simply saying there's not a chance in hell somebody that's you've never seen for 6 months all of a sudden gets more votes than anybody in history. It just doesn't work like that. So if you're not paying attention, I'll give you the quick summary. There was an email released about supposedly Trump doing inappropriate things to another, to basically a female that was on his team already, that actually voted for him and supported him throughout his entire presidential campaign. It's the gist. I know a lot of that's probably maybe not the best way to describe it, but ultimately, the Democrats are trying to pin the fact that Epstein was knowledgeable around this lady and was knowledgeable around the fact that Trump did inappropriate things with her. Yet it actually completely backfired on them because there's obviously now emails and there's text and there's depositions proving the opposite in relation to the fact that she ran on his campaign. They never really did anything other than simply presidential campaign stuff. And of course, it's just more lies. So, what it ultimately comes down to at the very bottom of the barrel, shut the fuck up. Now, one last piece again, I will fully admit being a Trump supporter. Have they handled the Epstein situation drastically terrible? 100%. Pam Bondi needs to go ASAP. All this Epstein stuff. I mean, this is one of those things again. I will not give credit to Trump on this, where he is flip flopping back and forth. Where it's 1 minute he doesn't want to, the next minute he does want to release. 1 minute he wants to not release the stuff, then he does. Now he wants to release the stuff. The challenge is right now is you have lost so much faith in these institutions, specifically the justice system, that quite frankly, even if you were to tell us the truth, I don't know if people would believe it. I really don't. All we know is that this guy knew a lot of famous people, whether they were politicians, country leaders, celebs, yada yada yada, and the majority of them diddled children. That is literally at the bottom of the barrel exactly what it is. They always, I guess the fear is like, can the world handle it? Or if they did find out, the world would be flipped upside down and there would be riots and everything would lose control. Either way, just fucking release this shit and move on. Although I have very little hope for humanity and society as a whole, and I say that equally because I'm all about equity and equality and all that, I do believe humanity can survive this. We've seen some pretty horrible shit, and we pretty much see it constantly. This man, Trump, has been dragged through the mud pretty much 99% of the time. And if you actually think, regardless of the corruption and the politics and the agenda, if you actually for a second think that Trump had anything to do with this, you are out of your mind. Did he know Epstein? Yes. Did he absolutely go completely the opposite direction once he found out that he was basically a pedophile? Absolutely. But if you actually think Trump had any part in doing inappropriate things with children and blah, 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 insert XYZ here, you are out of your mind. You really are, because you honestly think they weren't going to bring that out over the last 12 years? It's just like, stop. You are embarrassing yourself at this point. You really, really are. Just stop it. Just for a second, stop pretending like you know anything. Like, just like I do, just like the person across from me, nobody knows the truth. And I don't think we ever will learn the truth. Hopefully, maybe we'll get a little bit of a tidbit on it. But ultimately, nobody's ever going to learn the truth other than the fact that if Trump had any sort of negative connotation around it, you would have known about it, because that man would not currently be sitting in the White House if there was any truth to it. If there's one thing you have to believe, that is it. The man has now been voted as president twice. If he was anywhere near pedophilia, that man would not be sitting in that chair at the White House. It's just not possible. And I'll leave you guys with that. I really will, because it's getting out of hand. I think the tragedy of it is the people that still believe it. That's the tragedy of it. And it always, you do the Picard, you do the face palm, and you just kind of scratch your head and you go, I don't understand how people still believe this. But here we are in the society that we live in. But that's for another time. We'll get into it. I know we're kind of getting a little bit longer on here, but huge thanks. I seriously mean it, from the bottom of my heart. For those of you that listen on Spotify, for those of you that watch, again, I truly appreciate. Go ahead, the likes, the comments, the subscribes, everything you can think of. It does mean the world to me. It really, really does. But seriously, I love doing these live things. Half of them might not make any sense, broken record moments left and right, but I think it's just kind of fun. You know what I mean? And I'm going to hopefully be really good at being consistent. This is the third week we've been doing it. I'm having a blast. I want to get guests. I'd love if you want to join the conversation, come on in, shoot me a message. I'd love to chat. Let's be respectful. Let's be cool. Pick a topic. We'll pick Sasquatch. We'll go over the theories of Sasquatch. Who knows? Who cares? But it'll be fun. I just think the more community that we build, the more discussions that we have, regardless of what side you're on, the better off everybody is going to be. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart, as much as I am who I am, if you get my drift. But with all that said, thank you guys again so much for watching. We will see you this week with some new episode reviews. And don't forget, Sisu Part 2 is also coming out this week. So I am ecstatic to see that. I cannot wait. But until then, we will see you guys in the next video. Later, y'all.